Hi there, Zam here from NerdTube. These are my thoughts and spoilers of the Tulsa King Season 3, Episode 7, The Art of War, I think is the name of the episode. Almost escaped my mind there. This was an interesting episode regarding what it means to infiltrate, manipulate, and extract information from the people around you, would-be enemies who have now become friends and allies, and building bridges with people that you might not necessarily get along with when it comes to maybe having a similar goal in mind and working together for the greater good and then defeating a greater enemy. And we got all of that in this episode because we see Dwight Manfredi initially, by the way, having to apologize to Quiet Ray at the very beginning of this episode because he has to deal with that aftermath. Quiet Ray wants him dead. No ifs, buts, or anything about it, and Dwight knows that he can read between the lines regarding what Quiet Ray is saying. He knows that Quiet Ray is going to come after him after almost getting accidentally whacked by somebody who wanted to whack Manfredi. So, Dwight is going to have to look over his shoulder, but not in this particular episode, but definitely in a future episode. Ray wants some payback. But for the rest of this episode, we do see Dwight infiltrating various people, whether it be Fresher, who wants to be the governor, and using his girlfriend, Margaret, to infiltrate the governor's wife, as well as Dwight infiltrating the governor as well, finding out more things about him, getting the governor himself to come to his establishment where you can gamble because he's in with the Native Americans and they have that law, that loophole regarding Native Americans and gambling and all of that. So the governor loves to have a little flutter, and whilst at Dwight's place, he gets a bit carried away, and the house does give the governor more money, not realizing that the governor will have to owe that money back to the house if he loses that money. And he does lose that money, and now Dwight has the governor in his pocket. But he does tell the governor, look, I will waiver your money that you owe me if you just basically do my deeds, and I'll take care of you. I'll look after you. Which does piss off Dunmire by the end of this episode, who ends up trying to beat up the governor, and by doing so ends up in jail. But he looks at that moment in jail as a moment of perspective. So we know that Dunmire's mind is going to be ticking, and he's a bit of a general in his own right. He's like the opposite to Dwight. He's not the opposite, but the counterpart, like the redneck counterpart to Dwight. He's a thinking man. Obviously he'll lose his head like any gangster would, but he is a gangster in his own right. The Dixie Mafia and all of that. But regardless, when he's got a moment to contemplate and plan ahead, he'll do that. And he'll do that whilst he's in jail. But just to get rid of Dunmire out of the equation, he does have a moment in this episode where he also talks to his son. Basically tells his son why he's such a fuck up. It just come naturally to you and all of that. I'm telling you, Cole is going to do something bad to his dad. We've seen that already in this series, when he came to Chicky and what he did to his dad. So I can see maybe history repeating itself with these two, possibly. If anybody's going to take out Dunmire, it could be his own son who just ends up having it, loses a gasket, gets pushed over the edge regarding his constant criticism coming from his dad and never any praise. And regarding Cole, he's still in with Spencer, even though Spencer knows who Cole is and who he's aligned with, and while Spencer is also obviously, aligned with Dwight. So I do feel that Spencer is definitely undercover and only pretending to be Cole's friend to get information, extract things out of him. But as I said earlier, this is an episode about manipulation, extracting of information and all that, knowing more about your enemy. And I do think Spencer is definitely doing that with Cole. Staying, good friends with him just so Cole can give up shit to her. We'll see how that pans out. Don't get me wrong, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, Spencer could be carried away by the muscular tones of Cole and all of that, but I do think she's a lot smarter than that, regardless. Spencer does have a bigger part in this episode to play. You see, Tyson wants to be an earner. He doesn't want to just be Dwight's delivery driver. He wants to start making some moolah. But he hasn't got the first clue of how to do it. So he starts speaking to Goody, who kind of plays like a big brother role to Tyson. And Goody gives him some advice and some ideas of what he first did, how he infiltrated shoe shops and basically harass them for cash and all of that. But he mentioned some plans that he did when he was younger, like they would pretend to be cops, and they would raid drug dealers and take all their money and take all their contraband. And who are the drug dealers going to call? The cops? No, they can't do shit. They just have to accept it. And so they decided to do the pretend to be cop scam on some college students. College students that Spencer does know, because she knows people who have a lot of contraband and a lot of money themselves. And so Goody and Tyson go into these college dorms and these sorority houses and basically steals a lot of money and dope from these college students. And it's really funny how it all pans out, especially when the college students knows Tyson, but Tyson still has to pretend that, yeah, I'm a cop now, so what are you going to do? And yeah, they take all the money. And Spencer now, because she's involved in this thing, because she was the one who set all this shit up, basically wants a piece of the action herself. It's really funny seeing all three of these people wanting to make their money. Goody just basically wants 50% of the cash. He wants nothing to do with the drugs, because Dwight has a code when it comes to drugs. So, I mean, we're talking hard drugs, obviously not marijuana, because he's in the marijuana industry, but we're talking stuff that might make you hallucinate or whatever. So yeah, he doesn't want anything to do with that. And so Spencer's going to be the one who will get rid of all the drugs, and she wants 50% of that. And Tyson's wondering, what the fuck am I going to earn? It's very funny, but it's a good lesson for Tyson, because at the end of the day, he's the one who's learning how to be an earner. So yeah, those were some good moments. Overall, though, what we got in this episode, was just loads of different people in loads of different groups, just extracting information from various different people to help Dwight basically achieve what he wants. It'll be interesting to see some sort of strange bedfellows like Fresher, how on board he's going to be with Dwight. Will he turn the moment he becomes governor? Because he has aspirations of becoming governor himself. And obviously there's also the governor himself. Will he remain in power? Will he have some sort of coalition with Fresher if something like that might have to happen? Who knows? Is this all of this other crazy stuff that might need to occur during the course of this series, or maybe next season, whatever happens. But it's going to be interesting to see how all of this pans out. No Bodhi in this episode, hardly any Mitch in this episode, no Watchmaker in this episode either. So I'm sure they'll play a bigger part in the upcoming episodes, and obviously people like Quiet Ray, he'll have a bigger role to play in upcoming episodes as well. I'm not sure if there's anybody else I've missed out regarding all of this, but yeah, I wonder where the hell Bodhi was, because we saw a lot of Grace in this episode, and Grace and Bodhi are usually kind of stuck to the hip. Not saying that there's anything going on between them, but they are friends. They were both friends prior to Dwight being involved in their lives, so they get along with each other really well. But no Bodhi in this episode. I wonder where he's at. Maybe he's meditating in his house, listening to Whale Song. Who knows? Regardless, I give this episode an 8 out of 10. I did enjoy it. Not as action-packed as previous episodes, but it really was good to see, as I said earlier, the infiltration, the manipulation, and the information extraction. It was good to see all of that, and you got real large elements and dollops of that. Even with Margaret speaking to the governor's wife, getting information out of her. She's a sly old fox, that lady. And she shouldn't be underestimated. And I think she loves all this gangster shit. Even though Dwight doesn't really want her to get involved in it too much, she fucking loves it. You can see it on the smile on her face. It excites her. Dwight excites her. Anyway, let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest social media channel you never heard of. Take care now. Bye-bye.